Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video, we are going to understand fully about our functional components in React.js, and also we are going to see all the types of props, how we can like pass the props to our child components and how the other props will be there. Everything we are going to cover in today's video. So if you are new here, please consider subscribing so you won't miss any future content. Now let's start the video. Yes. So this is our application where we are going to create the components today. In the last video, we saw like lifecycle methods where we have created this components folder and this file. All the things which are related to this, we are having in this component folder. Okay, and we can see in the app.js, which is our main component, where we will actually import the all the components. Here we have imported this component, which we can remove it right now because it's not needed, or let's have comment on. Okay, let's do that. So yep, now let's create one folder. Before creating the folder, let's run the project. Okay, for running the project we can use npm run start. Okay, and let's click enter and it will open. It will take some time and it will open. Till that time, let's create a folder here. Okay, so I'll create one folder calling it as home. Okay, let's say home, and in this I'll create home.js. Okay, so this home.js will be our main parent component. Okay, so in this home we're going to have segments, and in that segments we'll have the child components. Okay, so and one more thing, like supposedly if you want to create a functional component, we have to import React first from the React package, okay, library, and then we have to write function and we'll say home. Okay, and here I'm telling again this thing, function name and the file name should be same. Okay, home.js we have created this, and this thing should be similar, and also in the file name h we have right in the home, this should be capital. The first letter should be capital whenever we are creating a component. Okay, that is the rule when we are creating components in the React.js. Okay, and then we can write simply return, and here we can return that div, and I'll say here h1 tag home page. Okay, for now I'm just calling it as home page, and you see home, we have to export as well. Okay, export, I'll say default, and then this. Okay, we'll talk about in this video as well what is export and default and how we are saying that we are importing and all that also we can see. And now let's import it inside the app.js so that we can see in the browser. Right now you can see we don't have anything here because we have to import the component. Okay, so I'll say home from dot slash components and slash home and slash home js. Okay, and you can write extension as well, that will not going to change anything, but if you have any other extension, suppose dot css or dot png, then you have to definitely mention there. Okay, that's mandatory. And now let's add it here as home, and it will be self closing. Okay, now let's go back, and we should be able to see our component here. You can see home page, it is coming here. Okay, so this is creation of a component right now. Okay, now we are going to see how we can create the child components. Okay, let's take an example what exactly we want to show it here. Okay, suppose we have a few paragraphs. Okay, one image and one paragraph that we are going to do it here. Okay, so I'll show in the paint what will be the structure of it, and yeah, so you see this is our home page, and here I'll show one image and a paragraph. Okay, and similar to that, one more image, here one more paragraph. Okay, this is what we are going to do it here. Okay, so let's go back, let me go back, and in the home only I'll create one more file as image display as a component. Okay, dot js I'll say, because js file you have to do it. Okay, and let's say here again I have to write the similar code, but there is a extension. Okay, you can get one extension here, this one es7 plus react redux, this one. Okay, so basically once you install it, we will get a shortcut to create the basic snippet of the component, react component. Okay, so what I'll do is here rfce. Okay, react functional component we are saying rfc. Okay, and E for the default. It will create it in the bottom, this default one. So this is the shortcut you can use. It will take the file name as the component name. Okay. And similar way, if you want to create the class component, then we'll say RCC. Okay, and enter. It will create as the class component. Okay, so you can install this extension ES7 plus React, and you can be familiar with this. But at the start, right, I will prefer that you should write, like, because you will get to know what exactly the snippet was. Okay, for the understanding purpose I'm saying. Once you are clear with that, you can use the extension and you can create with the shortcut. Okay, so yes, now we can see this here, and but we can't see in the home page right now, because we have to import image display in our home page first. Okay, so I'll just remove this h1 tag here, and I'll have it like here. Okay, image display. So right now you can see I can get the direct import. Once I click on that, you can see import is done. And if I go back, I should be able to see image display. See, image display is coming up here. Okay, so now what I have to do here is I have to have this kind of scenario. Okay, one image and one paragraph here. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, so I'll do here, I'll have image src, then let's not have this, and you have to have self closing if there is a no ending tag. Okay, or closing tag. Okay, for image we don't have closing tag, we have to provide this slash here. Okay, and let's get some image from here, or images, anything will be fine. Let me copy the image address, and let me paste it here. Okay, double quotes I have to do. Okay, in src I have pasted it, and it's asking for car. I'll just say okay. Now if I go back, we can see car is coming up here. Okay, so and then after that, let me add one paragraph here, and I think lorem will not work here, so we'll say some paragraph, we can get it from here only, car description. So let me get one thing. I'll just copy this one and just paste it. Okay, we just need some content there. Okay, now you can see we got this one. We have to have a paragraph side, so we can apply some CSS. Okay, for now I'm going to apply this inline CSS for now, but we should be using the external CSS. Okay, now you see we got it here, and I'll say align item as well center. Okay, and we saw in the previous video how we can apply the inline style as well. Okay, we should not use double quotes anymore in the React. We should be using curly braces only. Okay, that you have to make sure. Okay, so we have applied, and you can see we got it. Okay, now what I want to do here is I want to show username inside this. Okay, suppose, or the car name, suppose car name I want to show inside this component. So what I can do is I can write it here, one h2 heading, and I'll say car name. Okay, and here I'll say Maruti. Okay, for now just a single name. Okay, and it is coming up here. Okay, but we need it outside. So what I'll do is I'll just cut this. I'll create one div. It's just a CSS things. Okay, I'm just changing uh, car name. Okay, Maruti. Okay, now you see we are getting car name as Maruti here. But again, what I want to do now is as we have, this is the component of home page. Okay, image display is the child component of home. Okay, so from here I want to give the value to the image display. Okay, let's see how we can do that. Okay, so here I'll create one car name variable here. Okay, as Maruti. Spelling might be wrong, but I'm providing here, and here inside this I can say car name equal to car name. Okay, and this one I can use it here from the props. Okay, and if you see, if I directly provide it, it will give us error if we try to use it. Okay, because it should be inside a object. Okay, so then we have to provide curly braces, and then this name we have to provide it. Okay, and now I can use car name instead of this here, I can use it here. Okay, now you see we are getting the name. Okay, so suppose right now you see we are using one single component as a child component. Now suppose I want to show one more car here, okay, one more car here with a different name, okay. So that time what we can do, so let's say I'll just have car names, all the car names I'll just get. So Tesla, Toki, Toyota. So suppose I want to show Tesla here, okay. So like the image is similar, we'll change the image later, but again, so if I want to show one more car name here, I can copy this and paste it here, right? But instead of this, as we know that components we can reuse, okay. So what we can do is we can again have image display here as this one, and I'll say car name here equal to double quotes to Tesla. Okay. Either you can provide a variable name or you can directly provide the double quotes and a string. Okay. Now if I go back, it will render this again with a Tesla name here. Okay. So Tesla is coming as a car name and we are getting the same content. So this is called as reusability of the component. You can reuse the components multiple times, how many times you want. Okay. Suppose let's paste this Toyota here and Ford and Honda, BMW, then okay, for BMW is fine, and then okay, BMW, and I'll just close this one. Okay, so now you see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 components we have. If I go back, you can see it's coming 6 times. So what exactly we are doing here, right here? Okay, what we are doing is we have written a piece of code and we are reusing it. Okay, because a component can be reused multiple times. So if you want to reuse it, what you have to do is you have to import, or you have to create the tag of that multiple times here. Okay, you have to create or the you have to use the component multiple times and you will be good with that. Okay, so right now I'm using 6 times a single piece of code with a different names. Okay, names are also different, you see, Maruti, Tesla, Toyota, everything is different. Okay, so here I am reusing the components. Okay, so this is how we can create child components and we can reuse the components like this. Okay. Yes. So let's take example. Right now, you see, I have to write so many times, right? I am like, I have to give every car name each time whenever I need, like I have added new car. Okay. I have to again go ahead and write one more time here, image display, and then I have to provide a car name again here. Okay. So instead of this, what we can do is we can create an array. Okay. So let me create array car names equal to a array. Okay, and inside this array I'll have all the names. Okay, so let's say Tesla first, I'll take Toyota, and then comma Ford, comma Honda. Okay, right now for now this is fine. Okay, and I'll just remove this. Okay, now here what exactly we are going to do is we are going to loop it. Okay, because all the names whatever I'm getting, I want to show all the cars here. Okay, right now you see we don't have any cars here. Okay, so I want to show all the company names or the car names here. Okay, so what I'll do here, I'll write curly braces. Okay, because we are going to use JavaScript inside HTML. This is right now you can see this is the div. Okay, this is a div, and inside this div, I am not going to use HTML. I am going to use JavaScript. So for that, what I have to do is I have to use curly braces. Okay, I have to create a block, and inside that block I can write JavaScript. Okay, now you see if I write console.log and I'll say hello world. Okay, if I go back and see, we should be able to see hello world here. Right now you see hello world is coming. So inside the HTML also we can write JavaScript by creating a block. Okay, inside a block you can write. Now what I will do here is I'll create car names dot map. Okay, I'll going to map it. Okay, and inside that one callback function I'll have like this, and I can use item, all the items, and I'll take index value, or let's say items only. Okay. Now you see, I can able to use car name and map method. Map method inside a div. Okay. And what I will going to do here is I'll going to say return. Okay. And I'll going to return image display. Okay. And here inside that we have a prop name, right? We have a prop name as car name. Okay. And car name I'll provide it here equal to the item. Okay, what is the item here in this array is these all items. Okay, So I am mapping to the this array on the component of image display. Okay, and right now if I go back, we should be able to see all the things are coming. So this is how we can use map method inside the div, okay, or inside the HTML. Okay, suppose if we use for each, okay, for each also we have, right, one of the array method. What will happen if we use this? Okay, let's go back. Now you see we are getting nothing. Okay, the reason is we have a map. Why we use map? Because we can return something, but for each cannot return anything. That's why we are not able to see anything in the like in the browser. So we have to use map only. Okay, so that's why map is a very important method when we are using React.js. Okay, so map we have to use, and map will return this component as a HTML, and we can see all the components or all the details are coming up here. Okay, so all the company names we can see here: Tesla, Toyota, Ford, Honda, all the things. And if suppose I want to add one more company, okay, suppose BMW I want to add, so I don't need to write this code again. What I have to do, I just need to add the item inside the array. Okay, so I'll say here BMW. Okay, and if I go back, I should be able to see BMW coming up here. If suppose I want to remove Honda, okay, I can remove from the list, and you see it will be removed here. Okay, so this is how we can use map method inside a component to re-render or the render our reusable components you based on the array. Okay, yes. So let's see one more thing. I'll just comment on this one, image display, from here and here, and also above. Okay, and what exactly now we are going to do is we are going to create one more child component, and we'll see how we can pass the props. Okay, right now we see what like we have passed the one prop, but we are going to see what is the default prop as well. Okay, so suppose if someone is passing a prop, but sometimes they will miss it. Okay, so if they miss it, we should not have any error. Okay, so suppose let me create one more component. Okay, I like, so one more thing I'll tell you, inside this component only we can create one more component. Okay, so child component, we don't need to create files as well sometimes. So what we can do for that is we can go to the bottom and we can say function here, and I'll say users list. Okay, this is my component, and in this I'll going to render one thing. Okay, I'll going to render h2 tags, and I'll say username and curly braces, and inside that name. Okay, and this name I am getting from the props. Okay, so curly braces, and I'll say name. Okay, so this is our child component. Okay, and I'm going to reuse inside the here. Okay, in the home component, so I can use it, copy, and here I'll just go, I'll create a component here. Okay, see, that easy. Now let's close this. We are not using image display, but you see we have already used this user list. Okay, if I go back, you should be able to see username is coming, but name is not coming. Okay, if we go back here in the what do you say, element tag, we should be able to see this is rendering here. Okay, so if I suppose if I use 2-3 times, okay, what is displaying here? Right now you see in the DOM we can see multiple usernames are coming because we can reuse the component. Okay, now you see here I am not providing any name here. Okay, so see, any like I am not providing any name. So at this time what I want is, if I am not getting any names from the props, I want some default value to be rendered here. Okay, so what I'll do that time is I'll come here, I'll write equals to beside this name equals to, in single quotes I'll say user. Okay, that's it. And if I go back, I can be able to see user is coming because this is a default prop. Okay, if I go back in the DOM as well, you can see we should be able to see default prop coming up here. You see user, user, user. Okay, now let's see one more thing. Suppose for the first one, okay, for the first one I am going to provide name. Okay, I'll going to say Stark. Okay, Stark. And for the last one also I'll going to say Steve. Okay, and if I come back, you see I am getting for the first one Stark. Okay, because as the value is coming, it will not going to take this default value which is user, but for the second one the value is not coming, it is taking the default value. Okay, so it is a very helpful when we have multiple props, and sometime based on that we are going to show something else. Okay, some operations will perform, that time the default value is very important. Okay, and one more thing, let's say one more prop I want. Okay, is active. Okay, and is active I'll going to provide, and comma I'll say is active is and curly braces I'll say is active here. Okay, so it will be having true or false. Okay, so right now you see if I go back, it will not show anything. Okay, same thing we can do here. By default I want it to be false. Okay, so if I go back, nothing will display because we are getting the false and this value, but let's have the is num. Okay, let's take is num, because I'd say this is a like what do we say, boolean value, right? It will not going to show us. Okay, so by default I'll say is num is 0, and it will come as 0 for everything. I'll just change it here as well, is num, and let's go and provide the values here. Okay, I'll say is num equal to 2 here, and here is num, and you see here it is little bit different. Okay, right now you see here I'm providing name equal to single quotes star. Okay, but for number I can't provide it as 1 or 2 directly here. You see it's giving us error because we have to use curly braces. That's mandatory when we are providing the props. Okay, so this is 1, let's say, and this is num, I'll say 3. Okay, save it and let's go back. Now you see we are able to fetch it. Okay, so this is how we can use the props here. Okay, so we have this props, default props we can say. Okay, so these are the default props. Now one more prop we have it as, like, we can pass a function as well in as a prop. Okay, let's see how we can do. I'll just simple function, I'll create function uh, get alert. Okay, so what get alert will do is it will open a alert. Okay, basically JavaScript alert I'll say here, hello. Okay, I'll just say hello, and I'll say comma name. Okay, and name is coming from the parameters. Okay, so whatever name I am providing here, right, that name we are going to get in the alert. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. So get alert I am going to provide it here equals to get alert. Okay, and this we have to provide it for all of that. Okay, we can have default as well, but I'm just saying how we can provide the method as the or function as the property. Okay, prop. So now I have provided, and now what I have to do is comma and then write the same thing. And let's do one thing. Let's create a div instead of h1 directly, and I'll have a button tag here. Okay, inside the button I'll have click, and here in the on click event I'll going to have one callback function, and I'll say get alert here. Okay, and now you see we are expecting a name should come here, right? So we have to give a name here. Okay, so name we are getting here, name I'll just provide it inside this. Okay, now let's go back and we should be able to see button. Now if I click here it should pull up Stark. If I click here it should say user. If I click here it should say Steve. Okay, let's see. Click. Okay, it should be plus, not comma. Okay, now it should do that. Okay, now you see Stark is coming, space is not there. Okay, now it should come fine. Okay, and yeah, now you see it's saying Stark here. Let's click OK here. Let's click, it's saying user. Okay, okay, and let's click here, it's saying Steve. Okay, so we have, like, we are able to provide a function as a prop to our child component. Okay, in React. Okay, so this is how we can do that. Yes. So let's see destructuring of props. Okay, what is the destructuring means is it's a JavaScript concept. Okay, so if you have, suppose you have a object. Okay, in from that object you want to pull few values out. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. What I'll do is these prop values which we are taking inside this what do we say, function bracket as a properties parameters, right? That I'm going to remove. I'll say just props here. Okay, so one variable, inside one variable we are taking it. Okay, if I console and you see here I have removed that, right? It's giving us error here. Okay, so what, how we can destructure it basically. Okay, here we can go here and we can write const curly braces equals to props. Okay, so in this curly braces we can pop out those values whatever is needed for us. Okay, suppose first is name. Okay, comma, and then we have is num. Okay, comma get alert. Okay, and here we need to provide the default value as user. Okay, so this is how we can destructure it. If we go back we should be able to see it's working as expected. Okay, as it was working earlier. Okay, The reason why we do is because you see, sometime what will happen is we will have so many props, okay, and if we provide here, it will be like quite confusing sometimes. So what we can do is we can destructure it from here, okay, and we can use it, okay. It's the same way. And suppose if you don't want to destructure something, what you can do is, suppose I don't want to destructure, I can do props, okay, and props dot name I can use, okay. So this is the object way method. So this is a object, the prop is object, because we are not using curly braces here, okay. So this is an object, and dot we can use, and we can use this way, okay. Props dot is num, props dot name, props dot get alert as well, okay. Here as well I can use props dot name, okay. So everywhere we can use as a object, and then if we go back, it will work as expected, okay. So this is the different ways of using the props, okay. One way is to have destructure inside the function only. Second is the destructuring on a variable like this, and then directly using the as a object, okay. Props dot name, props dot is num, something like this, okay. So these are the three ways to use the props. Yes. So last thing we are going to see, import and export. Okay, what is this and why we are doing this? Okay. So import and export is nothing but importing means getting that component into particular component. Suppose app.js, let's take example. We are writing a import statement. The reason is we want to get the component from that wherever the location is here, so that we can use it, okay. So that's why we are doing it. So export is nothing but making the component available to others to use it, okay. So once we export it, the other people can import and use that, okay. That's why we will do import and export, okay. And there are two types of import and export, we can say. One is default export or import, one is normal one, okay, which is object one or something like that, we can say that. So default is nothing but, you see, right now we are using, for all components we are using default one, okay. Export, default and home, okay. But what will happen if you use default na, that time you have to use the similar like you can use any name here, irrespective of whatever name we are providing, but you have to take it in this way, okay. Suppose if I don't want to provide default here, okay, that time what will happen, let's see, okay. But for one component at least we have to have default here, so that's why we can provide this. Let's say user list, I want to get it here, okay. Suppose export and curly braces, and I can say user list here, okay. So this is how we can provide the other one, which is not the default one, okay. So this is not the default one, and let's see how we can use this particular thing, okay. So if we go to import, here we have to write comma and curly braces. If suppose there is no home, okay, I don't want to render home, that time what I can do is I can have curly braces, and inside that I can take as user list. And in this condition you have to use whatever name we have exported, okay, user list, okay. So this thing generally when we do is for the main component, okay. So right now the main component is home, so the main component will do defaultly export, but for the other components which are created inside that, we'll export it normally, okay. So this way as a object format, and we can similarly use that way, okay. So this is how the other way of importing and exporting, okay. Yes. So in this video, we saw all the things which are very important for creating the component and having the child component. And also we saw like different types of props and how we can access in different ways the props. Okay, that also we saw, and we saw like what is an import and export in our components. Okay. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please consider subscribing and give it a like. I'll be back with more content in the next video. Thank you.